Hi everyone, my name's Kayla. I have a Bachelor of Health Science Naturopathy and I'm a naturopath at Kayla the Nurturing Naturopath. Welcome to my podcast Awareness, where I talk about different awareness days, weeks, and months. Today is World Thalassemia Day, and I have Pat joining me today. Hi Pat, how are you?
Good, thank you, Kayla. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for joining me today. So could
Thank
you,
you for the invitation.
thank you. So could you please tell us what thalassemia is?
Thalassemia is an inherited blood condition, and it is a condition where the blood is affected and can cause lifelong anemia. So people with thalassemia do not produce enough healthy hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin is, and because of that, the blood cells generally tend to be small and pale. Hemoglobin is a protein that's found in the red blood cells and carries oxygen from the lungs to the rest of the body.
So
That's a
it's,
very scientific explanation.
thank you. So it's a genetic thing, so it runs in the family.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
the next question was, what are the causes?
Well, the causes are basically the red blood cells that are not properly formed. And because it is genetic, it takes both parents to be carriers for a child to be born with the condition.
Right.
So historically, just to give you a little bit of background, so the word thalassemia comes from the Greek word for thalassa, which is ocean, and the condition originated in the Mediterranean, so Italy, Greece, in those areas. And it was identified in those areas. And I know, speaking from personal experience, when my mum and dad were married in the 1950s in Greece, it was mandatory for people to have a blood test.
Yep.
Just to see, because if there was, just to see if there was the condition, if it was prevalent, and then to kind of, I suppose, warn people. Not quite sure what they would have ever done if two people who were in love were kind of found to both be carriers, whether the government could actually say, no, you can't get married.
Exactly.
But it was, the testing part was mandatory.
Yep. No, that makes sense. And so risk factors, one would be, if your parents were carriers and they had it, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's different sort of strains of thalassemia. So alpha thalassemia is the major one, and beta thalassemia is what people who are carriers have.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And so the diagnosis would be like blood tests and things like that?
Generally blood tests. Yeah. Yeah.
And what would some of the symptoms be? So I guess, with the hemoglobin not being properly made, it would be like shortness of breath and low energy and things like that.
It would generally be things like fatigue. So tiredness, dizziness, yes, shortness of breath. People who have thalassemia generally they don't develop at the same rate as children who don't have thalassemia. People with thalassemia can look jaundiced, and they can generally have swollen belly, or they can have a discolored urine, or there could be a slight deformity in their facial bones.
Yep.
They're generally the more obvious symptoms.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And is there any treatment for thalassemia?
People with thalassemia major have blood transfusions. So they generally are required to have a blood transfusion every 3 or 4 weeks. And they have to generally have a cross match beforehand so that they get the right blood.
Yep.
And they then have to also chelate, because the blood transfusions can cause iron overload. And so the other treatment is iron chelation to prevent the iron overload causing any extra damage.
So they need that iron, but at the same time, they don't want too much of it.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the complications would be things like you were saying, they need the iron, but they don't want too much of it. And then all the sort of symptoms can cause different complications depending on the individual.
Yeah. So a lot of a lot of our members, a lot of our patients have comorbidities. So some people it can affect the spleen. So they can have enlarged spleen. It can affect they can be prone to blood infections. They can also have issues with the liver, the kidneys, the heart. They are some of the complications. They can also be more prone to bone problems, osteoporosis.
That's because of like the deformity you were saying with the bones and
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to sort of recap on or talk about that we haven't sort of touched on?
I think if you've got a minute, I'll tell you a little bit about what TASCA does. So we at Thalassemia Sickle Cell Australia, so I am the chair of the organisation. And TASCA has been around in various iterations since 1976.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so we do a lot of work in advocacy for patients. So at the moment, we're working with our patients to look at a couple of different treatment options, which aren't quite on the market yet, at least in Australia. And we also do education work. We go out to community groups and schools, and we do at schools, at least we do the education that fits into the senior school biology course.
Yep.
So we do that. We do a lot of work with community groups around emphasizing the importance of genetic testing. So, a simple blood test before two people get married is really, really important, because it does give people an indication. So, for instance, if two people, or even if one person is from a Mediterranean area, or they have, European backgrounds, or there is any kind of blood condition in the family, a test is really, really important. And we have patients, members who have actually undergone the testing, and have chosen to have their children anyway, and they have happy, healthy children who have to have a blood transfusion every month. So the testing is extremely important, and that's one of the things that we do advocate for and educate around. We also liaise very closely with the hospitals, where our patients go for their blood transfusions. So we do a lot of work in those community areas.
Yeah, so raising awareness is really important. And like you were saying, anyone that comes from Mediterranean areas, it's important to get that genetic testing so they can see and then make, an informed decision about whether or not they want to have children. And like you say, if they do decide to have children, they can live a long and happy life, and they just have to have their blood taken every few weeks. So,
and the thing too is that with globalization and the world getting smaller, it's now no longer just people from Mediterranean areas. We're also seeing cases from the Asian region. The African region is more sickle cell, but the Middle East certainly, and the Asian areas, we do see a greater incidence now of thalassemia.
Very good. Very interesting. So,
And because it is International Thalassemia Day, we are actually lighting up all over Australia today and tomorrow. So if people want to check out our website, there will be photos up there of bridges and landmarks lighting up in blue.
Oh, beautiful. That'll be really awesome. Yeah, I was actually going to say, so for further information in order to donate, people should go to Thalassemia and Sickle Cell Australia.
Yes, so our website, our address is www.tusker.org.au.
Awesome.
And I really would encourage people to have a look.
Nice.
Become a member. Membership is free.
Nice. Cool.
And we're always looking for volunteers to help us out with various projects. So any of that kind of support would be very, very welcome.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, making us more aware of thalassemia. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to speak about what is quite a prevalent condition, even you know, for people who have thalassemia. So in my family, my mother is a carrier.
Yeah.
So you know, it is quite prevalent. In some cases, people just don't know that they're a carrier.
Exactly, yeah. So true.
Go get tested.
Yeah, very important. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you everyone for listening. I really appreciate it. Take care and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.